Here's what's coming up on the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan.
And we reduced those fees down to about 1.28%. So it saved them a little bit of money per year, but over the next 20 years, it's substantial because they saved almost $300,000 in fees total over that time period projected, which means they either keep that in their pocket or leave more to the beneficiaries.
And telling somebody you're going to be just okay is not good enough. You should have a full, comprehensive, written plan in place before you invest a dollar with any firm, not somebody say you're going to be okay.
Well, you look at here, you earned 23%, 12, 0, 13, 29, 11, but you hardly had anything left in your account to earn those rates of return. So that's why you were out of money completely, out of income and out of assets completely in 12 years.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, welcome to this week's show.
We have 30 minutes of great information designed just for you.
Don't go anywhere, get comfortable, because the show starts right now.
Hi, and welcome back to this week's Author's Corner. As usual, I'm here with Dan and Jim. They are best-selling authors, TV talk show hosts, and radio talk show hosts. Guys, always great to have you on the program.
Nice to see you, Mark.
Today, we're going to talk about what retirees worry about. And there are a lot of worries out there. And number one is, and Dan, I'll begin with you. The question is, I'm not sure how much risk I'm taking, but I'm scared to death about suffering another big loss like I did in 2000 and 2008. I never want to go through that again. What can I do?
Well, the first thing you have to do is find out how much risk you're taking right now in your portfolio and have a risk stress test performed that will actually calculate out if we have another 2008 financial crisis loss like they're talking about there, how much would they be prepared to lose? How much could they lose at this point? And that's very important because if the market went down 53% back then in 08, we need to find out how much their portfolio would go down. They might think, like most people, oh, mine can only go down 10 or 15%, when in reality, the majority of the people, when we run these risk stress tests, they end up having 45% risk on average, meaning you could lose 45% of the nest egg that you have saved right now.
That could be utterly damaging, especially if you're not putting money back into it, you're not at work, right?
Taking income off of it on top of the losses and the fees.
Jim, my next one is for you. And this person is saying, hey, my account hasn't seemed to grow as much as everyone else is talking about, but my broker says I'll be fine. I should average 8 to 10% per year.
Well, first of all, unless you have a plan in place, how would you even know the answer to that question? Second of all, if you have a broker saying you're going to be fine, I would doubt that broker's comment. And again, I mentioned plan, and we mention plans a lot on a radio show, on a television show, because that's what we are. We are planners. So people often ask us in a few short sentences, what do you guys do at your firm? We're a risk mitigation firm. We got to control the risk. And we're an income planning firm. We can then generate an income plan to make the income work for the rest of your life, as long as we control the risk. And telling somebody you're going to be just okay is not good enough. You should have a full, comprehensive, written plan in place before you invest a dollar with any firm, not somebody say you're going to be okay.
Well, think about it. If someone tells you verbally you're going to be okay versus someone tells you in writing you're going to be okay, which one would you rather have?
Yeah, and Dan, I like to sleep at night. I like to go to bed and not have to worry about what the stock market is doing or what's happening in the economy or what's happening abroad, as it would potentially affect my portfolio. I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to see a firm that will put all of that together in writing for me, which segues me well into my next question here. And this person says, I'm terrified about running out of money during my lifetime and worry about being poor someday. How often do you see that?
Well, that probably, if you look at every individual that's getting ready to retire or retired, is their deepest, darkest primal fear. Because ultimately, you don't want to run out of money because then you know you can't pay for things on a monthly basis. You know, you might worry that you lose your house, you're homeless. We actually have clients that have $2, $3, $4 million, $5 million of assets, and their biggest fear is that they literally will become poor one day because of some reason, and usually in their mind is because they run out of money, they suffer big losses, and they make big financial mistakes. So the goal is to avoid making those big financial mistakes at or right before retirement that could ruin your retirement. And that really comes down to putting a plan together in writing. And when we talk about a plan, a written plan, it really means getting every single answer that you want about your money in writing for the first time. Do not trust anybody verbally. Always get it in writing, and have an income plan. Make sure you know where your income is going to come from. Have a tax plan so you know how much tax you're going to pay before you take the income out. Know how much fees you're paying. Know how much risk you're taking. Know how much you can leave to your kids and your grandkids if you love them. That's all part of the planning process.
Yeah, and my last one for you, Jim, is I don't have a plan in writing, and I worry about my money so much I can't sleep.
I don't blame you. If I didn't have a plan in place for my spouse and my children and my life, I would worry all the time as well. Unless you have things that Dan just mentioned in writing, an income plan, a tax plan, a legacy plan, a risk plan, a fee plan, how should I place my money? Will the income go up? Will the income go down? Will it go sideways? Will it increase? Will it go away? If you don't understand all that stuff, how can you successfully invest your money? But the industry has taught you don't need that. Just stay the course, stay in it. If it goes down, it's okay. Don't get out.
Well, if you don't have those things, how can you not worry about your money?
You're going to worry about your money. There's no way around it.
Would this be a fair analogy? I've got a few bucks in my pocket. I jump on an airplane to Italy and I spend 2 weeks there. Where's the plan? What are you going to do? Where are you going to stay, right? So,
well, it might be
and
fun.
So many people spend so much time putting their vacation plan together.
Well, you're 20 years old.
Well, and it might be fun, but it could be very dangerous, that trip, right? You just don't know.
It could be extremely
dangerous. That's how you have to look at it. It could be very dangerous.
Guys, thanks so much. If you want more information about anything we spoke about here today, hey, give us a call in the office at 916-452-7325 or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Files, CEO of Peak Financial, your local resource for retirement and investment planning, acting as fiduciaries for advisory clients. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap, including a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all free, no pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. There's no risk and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
On this week's segment of We Fix Your Money, you're going to meet Dale and Carrie. They want to use their money they have saved to create a wonderful retirement lifestyle, but they're scared about making financial mistakes, like taking too much risk or running out of money in retirement. Now over to Dan and Jim to tell you how they helped Dale and Carrie.
Thanks, Mark. We're excited to be here presenting this week's hypothetical case study because Dale and Carrie could be just like you. As we go through this data, think about where they stand and where you stand and see the results of what a proper plan, everything in writing, can help someone achieve as far as their financial goals. So these people both retired, 67 years old. They get $99,000 of pension, Social Security, and they get some rental income. They're conservative. Their broker literally recently reduced their risk at their request. They have about $3.1 million of assets, but they're not using it for income right now. They think they're paying 1% in fees because that's what the broker says. You're paying about 1% in fees. One of the big issues they came in for planning was that Dale now has some health issues. He's okay, but he has some heart issues. And they want to plan, and he wants to plan because he's worried about his longevity, wants to make sure Carrie's going to be fine no matter what happens to him, that she's going to be financially secure. So at this point, they went very low risk because Carrie especially is even more conservative than Dale is. They want $100,000 of income from their assets because his heart attack has made him think, you know what, I might not be here long enough to spend my money. Let's start spending it now when we both can. They want to stop worrying about so many things about their money, like not using their assets, because what if they don't use it and then he passes away 5 years down the road, they don't do the things they planned. They don't want to worry about big losses or their money running out while they both are living, or if Carrie is the survivor. They don't want to worry about paying too much in taxes, and they want to manage their fees, and they definitely want to leave money to the kids and grandkids. So kind of a normal situation, maybe a lot of data, but it's kind of a normal situation because we help people just like you plan their entire lives as far as financially, and it's important to be able to look at this.
Yeah, you know, Dan, unless we have every single want and need and objective outlined before we start the planning, there's no way you can do planning. Just investing the assets like a lot of people do isn't meaningful. That's where you don't know what your money's going to do for you. So by doing this, we now know what the client wants to achieve. So the first thing we did an allocation and risk assessment plan. Under the current plan, they had $50,000 in the bank. They had over $3 million invested in the markets. They had no money in their principal protected or lifetime income bucket. We modified the plan. We thought they needed additional money in the bank. Yes, it's not going to earn a lot of rate of return in the bank, but it's giving them safety, and that's what we needed that for. We reduced their growth bucket from $3 million to $1.4 million because they were very specific. They wanted to reduce the risk inside their portfolio, and they wanted to increase their income. We applied $1.5 million to the principal protected and lifetime income bucket. And then under the current plan, when we did a risk assessment, they were proposed to lose almost 40% if we have a market crash of approximately 50%, which was substantial. They had no idea the level of risk they had, which is typical with 99% of the people we meet with for the first time. That means that we're going to lose $1.2 million plus if we have a market crash, and then we need a 66.4% rate of return to make up a 40% loss in their current plan. Again, we reshuffled the numbers. We reduced their risk from losing 39.9% down to only losing 8%. We're down $254,000, which is still a lot of money, but they were okay with that. But that wasn't $1.2 million losses that they had with their current portfolio. And the key here is we only needed an 8.9% rate of return to recover that minus 8% loss. That was significant because that was at least achievable.
Well, and this was a great plan because it was their plan. It wasn't our plan. We didn't create it for us. We created it because they said they wanted less risk, they wanted income, and they wanted to make sure if they did suffer a big loss, it wasn't going to be hard to recover. We gave them exactly that. And what this allowed us to do was to build their income plan properly. So we then did an income and fee assessment for them. Their income was, right now, they're not taking any income from their assets, and they really want to. And their current advisor didn't really even help them set that up. Nothing was being used to create income that was guaranteed for as long as they live. As we shifted over, we're going to give them $101,000 of income every year from their assets. Remember, their goal was $100,000, and $61,000 of the $101,000 is going to be guaranteed for as long as they live, regardless of what happens. If he passes away next year, she'll still get the $61,000 a year of income guaranteed for as long as she lives, plus the extra income off the money in the market. And we used about $1.5 million to give them that security. So they loved that idea because it fit exactly what their goals were. Currently, they were paying about 1.76% in total fees on their plan, and we reduced those fees down to about 1.28%. So it saved them a little bit of money per year, but over the next 20 years, it's substantial because they saved almost $300,000 in fees total over that time period projected, which means they either keep that in their pocket or leave more to the beneficiaries, which was great for them. And what this allowed us to do was, we think, the most important part of the planning process, Jim.
Yeah, when we talk about fees, Dan, no consumer I've ever met understand their fees, but fees are very important to understand. It will eat away your portfolio if you don't understand your fees. So gross monthly income, we got them $16,000 plus per month in gross income. Taxes, federal and state, was about $3,000 a month. Net after-tax income, in blue, $13,651. This couple had a budget of $9,425. They were spending every single month. We had to get that budget. We were able to get excess cash flow above that budget number by $4,200 a month, or we got them an extra $50,000 a year plus of excess cash flow above their budget requirements, which gave them the freedom to do the things they had planned beyond just their objectives. They wanted to take extra vacations. They had a remodel they wanted to do in their kitchen in a year. This gave them a lot of extra cash flow, Dan.
Well, net excess cash flow is what will define your financial security during retirement. The more excess cash flow you have, the better you're going to feel about your life, about being able to spend the money, and your security you're going to have going forward. Now, once we show that you're going to be okay, typically almost every single client says, well, what's going to be left? What's my legacy? What do my kids and grandkids get? So let's assume your assets only earn 4%. Let's assume the bank earns 1%. Let's assume your real estate earns 1.5% appreciation over time. Let's assume you, like Dale and Carrie, spent all the income we're generating off the assets. You never save any more. Well, total income you've been taking from your assets by age 90 would be $2.7 million. You've taken it out and you've spent it. You've had a great retirement life. Then, if you just earn 4% on your portfolio, 1% in the bank, 1.5% on your real estate, at age 90, you're projected to leave $5.7 million to your beneficiaries by accident. So you lived the exact retirement you planned for. You did everything you wanted. You didn't do without. And then when you both are gone, having the ability to be projected to leave $5.7 million of assets to the kids and grandkids is just awesome. So maybe, Jim, summarize it all.
Dan, you can't do this unless you spend the time as planners to architect these plans, and that means we have to do a full written retirement income plan for every client before we invest the money. Because in this case, we were able to increase their income with guarantees. We reduced the client's risk. We reduced their fees. We were able to efficiently show them how to manage their taxes. They're going to worry a lot less about their money, and this couple felt super excited, like many, if not all of our couples feel once they get a plan in place.
Well, this helped Dale feel very comfortable because of his heart issues. He wants a plan for Carrie, and he doesn't want to worry anymore. This allowed them to significantly reduce the amount of worry, which hopefully will make him feel a lot healthier. Mark, back to you.
Wow, what great results from a great plan. Your situation may not be exactly like Dale and Carrie's. You may be single or still working, but you can see how planning can help you attain your goals and alleviate some of your worries about money. If this is something you'd like help with, pick up the phone and give us a call right now at 916-452-7325 or visit our website. Now stay tuned for a great complimentary offer.
Hi, I'm Dan Ahmad, president of Peak Financial, your local resource for retirement and investment planning, acting as fiduciaries for advisory clients. If you're a Northern California retiree or pre-retiree and worried about running out of money in retirement and how to create dependable income to replace your paychecks so they last for as long as you live, we have a great free offer for you. Our typical clients have $1 million to $5 million of retirement assets, but we can help you if you saved at least $500,000. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap that includes a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all for free. No pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. It's time to stop worrying about your money. Don't wait. Call the phone number on the screen or go to our website to claim your free offer. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome back to the program. Now let's listen in on the Peak Financial Freedom Hour with Jim and Dan.
Jim, great to be back for this week's Peak Financial Radio Hour. And we're going to take some questions we've dealt with in the past and help people understand how you can now answer specific questions by really creating a plan. And a plan really is how you answer the worries you have with your money. It's not by having a specific investment. It's not by a portfolio. It's by actually having a plan. So let's look at David and Sharon. They say they've had an advisor for 20 years, which we see that a lot. They say he's nice, seems to have helped us, and they think of him as their friend, which is kind of the first no-no, but that's okay. But we worry about big losses, our money running out, when to claim Social Security, and not having an actual plan, kind of like what we said at the beginning. We kind of feel ashamed and so uneducated about our money. How can we judge our advisor, and where do we stand, and what in the heck should we do?
Well, and if they have an advisor for 20 years, they think of that advisor as their friend, and they don't have a plan, that means that advisor doesn't do planning probably. That advisor might be a good investment manager, for example, but he's not doing planning for people that are soon to be retired or retired. In order to retire successfully, you have to have a plan in place. You have to have a risk plan. You have to know how much you can lose in a market crash. You have to understand your fees. You have to understand where your income's coming from. Is income guaranteed? Is it not guaranteed? Will it run out? Will it go up? Will it go down? You have to understand what your taxes are going to be and your after-tax income. You have to understand how much you could potentially leave to your beneficiaries. You need all that stuff in a plan, or it's hard to retire successfully, Dan.
No, it's very hard. And I think so many people, just like David and Sharon, feel this way that are listening right now.
Yeah.
You know, they feel that way. They're worried and they're not sure, and they're trusting someone at this point just because they like them. And you should never ever trust someone just because you like them. Our clients like us, but we earn the trust by putting every single little detail about their plan in writing. We show them for the next 30 years where their income is going to come from every year, from what source. We show them what their risk is if the market crashes like it did in 08 in writing. We show them their total fees, the fees they don't even see. We put that in writing. We show them their taxes, their net spendable. We show them how much they can potentially leave to the beneficiaries. All those things in writing can help someone like David and Sharon and all the other people listening right now understand their money and stop worrying, because the uncertainty is how they worry. And they say, how can we judge our advisor and where we stand? Well, you can judge your advisor that if you don't have a written plan, then they're really not an advisor. They're just selling you an investment or putting you into some type of strategy.
Well, also, if you want to judge your advisor, you should seek a second opinion. You need a second set of eyes to look at what you have so you can determine if your advisor is on track or not.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, let's look at Bill and Lucy. They say, you guys always talk about how much risk people have, which we do because we see that, and that you can potentially reduce the risk. Well, we both just retired and currently have $2 million of assets, and we don't want to lose much of it. Last year, though, we lost 25%. We like the idea of a 5% risk portfolio, but what if we want a 0% risk plan? Can you do that? Are we just being dumb and scared, or are there other people like us that we've worked with and seen? Well, Bill and Lucy, you're not being dumb or scared. You're just being realistic, because if your retired and you lost 25% of your assets, that would scare the heck out of me. It would scare the heck out of anybody. And we do talk about risk a lot because we find the biggest mistake people that are either in retirement or getting ready to retire are making is they're taking too much risk, because if they suffer too big of a loss, there's a high probability they won't be able to recover, and it actually has a huge impact on how much income they can get and how long their income is going to last. So the goal is then to find out what you want your money to do for you and then build an actual plan around it. So we can then do the same thing that we talked about for David and Sharon, which is build an income plan, build a tax plan, put in writing your risk and your fees, all these things in writing, and that means then we can help you. And we can design any type of risk portfolio because it's not our money, it's their money. So whatever risk amount they want, we can create that.
You know, that's the key, Dan, because as fiduciaries, we have to do what's in the best interest of the client. It is the client's plan, not our plan. The client's using our skill set, our knowledge base to develop a plan to meet that exact objective. And if they want no risk, you can develop a plan like that. And you also can develop a plan where you have potential return with no risk, but people don't really understand how to do that.
Definitely. And I think I call it kind of like dial the risk, how much risk you want to take. They get to decide, which is awesome. So great show this week. I'm very happy to provide this type of data to people. And you know, we always give free second opinions to individuals that are getting ready to retire, in retirement. And if you have these types of questions out there, anybody, just feel free. Give us a call. We'll be glad to answer these questions for you. Also, go to our website. There's a lot of information. You can contact us right there.
Thanks, guys. That was some great information. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Files, CEO Peak Financial, your local resource for retirement and investment planning, acting as fiduciaries for advisory clients. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap, including a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all free, no pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. There's no risk and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Every retiree and pre-retiree wants to know how much income they can safely withdraw without running out of money. There's so many opinions out there today. How to best achieve this? Today on Peak University, Dan and Jim are going to discuss how they help guarantee your income won't run out.
Thanks, Mark. I think this subject of safe withdrawal rates ends up being so important for most retirees and pre-retirees because it's the only thing that will make them feel comfortable about taking money out of their accounts is if they can feel safe, Jim, taking those income distributions.
Yeah, this is a major conversation that spouses have. If you're married, if you're single, you're having it with friends, is how much can I take out of my assets in the form of income and make sure I won't run out of money? We'll give you the data. Back in the 80s, these big research companies that analyzed this information said you could take out 6% in the form of income, and you had a 95% mathematical probability you would not run out of money, which is about $60,000 a year. But in the 1990s, they lowered that to 5%. Now you could only take out $50,000 of that same money. In the 2000s, they lowered it to 4%, and that's what, Dan, most people think right now. They can take out 4%, but let's give you the real-time data. In 2010, they actually lowered that to 3%, so on that same $1 million, you couldn't take out $60,000, you could only take out $30,000, and now they're considering lowering that distribution rate out of your portfolio down to even 1.5% to 2%. And you say, well, why? Why did all this happen? Well, back in the 80s, interest rates were very, very high. The market was lower. Now interest rates are lower, and the market's very volatile, Dan.
So when you look at these numbers, I think when people look at that 6% number, they're like, hey, yeah, if I have $1 million, I can take out $60,000. It makes a lot of sense. It does. The problem is there's a high probability it won't work in today's economy, today's marketplaces. If you look at just what happened from 1980s into the 2010s, which would have been about 30 years, now 40 years, you look at now doubling the amount of income you could have taken out previously, which means you're only taking out half the amount of income you could take out now as you did later. So if you have $1 million, you can only take out $30,000 safely. Yeah. And people go, how in the heck could that be true? Well, let's look at a real life example. Let's look at the S&P 500. So let's assume you can invest in the S&P 500 and get those types of rates of return, and you have $1 million saved in your IRA. And it just seems reasonable, seems logical that you can then take out $50,000 a year. It just seems normal to me, seems normal to most people that $50,000 a year seems reasonable. And let's assume you have an advisor, you're paying 1% of advisory fees that you see, but you don't see 2% in potential hidden fees, which we see a lot of people come in that have hidden fees, and you earn stock market rates of return. Okay? Let's assume you're invested aggressively and you get those stock market rates of return that you think are necessary for success. So let's go back to the year 2000 and look at what timing has to do with your potential success or your potential failure. Let's say you started with $1 million in the year 2000 and the market goes down 10.14%. And it doesn't go down all at once. It takes a whole year for that to happen. And they say, hang in there, ride it out, stay the course, you're in it for the long haul. Don't worry, the market will always recover. You did. So you lose $101,000. You take out your income of $50,000, you pay your 1% fee, you pay your 2% hidden fees, and at the end of 1 year, you have $818,000 left. In the year 2001, the market goes down 13.04%, and they say, don't worry, hang in there and ride it out. It doesn't happen all at once. It takes about 12 months for that 13% loss to happen. You lose $106,000. You take out your $50,000 of income, you pay your fees, you're down to $637 at the end of 2 years. You start with $637 in 2002, now you lose 23%, not in 1 year, not in 1 month, but over the course of the whole year, so you didn't almost feel it. And they say, hang in there, ride it out. It'll be okay. The market will recover. Well, you end up losing $148,000 following that advice. You take out your income, pay your fees, and you only have $419,000 left at the end of 3 years when you started with $1 million. But they always say, Jim, hang in there and ride it out because the market will recover. And did the market recover?
It did recover, but you had already lost so much money, you didn't get to participate in that recovery.
Yeah, because you're earning these rates of return on what?
On less money.
A lot less money in your account. You're earning 26%, but only on $419,000. So you start with $419,000. At the end of that year, it did increase to $467,000 after taking out your income and paying fees. But how would you like to get down to 2007? You've had 5 years of gains. You have $387,000 left. Take out your income, pay your fees, and you're down to $339,000 now after getting 5 years of gains. Then you get hammered in 2008, and they say, hang in there, ride it out. It'll be okay. The market will recover. You do. You lose $130,000, take out income, pay your fees, you're down to $148,000. Then explain what happened, Jim, when they say the market would recover in those next 6 years. Did the market recover?
Absolutely. The market always recovers. At least we believe it will always recover. But how long does it take to recover? And what happens when you're in retirement or soon to be retired? What happens with this sequence of events? Do you lose money early on in retirement, midway, or on the end? But no matter how you look at it, you're going to be stressed out.
Well, you look at here, you're in 23%, 12, 0, 13, 29, 11, but you hardly had anything left in your account to earn those rates of return. So that's why you were out of money completely, out of income and out of assets completely in 12 years. At that point, in 2012, you had no more money left. You didn't even get to participate in the 3 largest gains back to back to back we've ever had, 28, 16, and 27%, because you simply ran out of money. And if you run out of money, you know it's going to affect your lifestyle, Jim.
Yeah, the key here, Dan, is number one, this happened to millions of people, right? You look at the technology bubble, it happened to millions of people. Look at the financial crisis, it happened to millions of people. Now, the really cool thing about this is you can prevent this from happening, but you have to use different strategies, you have to use different financial instruments, and it's something we're going to talk about on additional segments, Dan.
Definitely. I think this one chart shows why most people come to our firm to find a way to avoid something like this that will devastate their financial security. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, guys. You made it simple to understand the concept of guaranteed lifetime income. If this is something you'd like to know more about, hey, give us a call in the office right now at 916-452-7325 or go to our website.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Thanks for watching this week's show.
And if you want more information about anything we talked about here today, give us a call in the office or go to our website.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
The preceding program is sponsored by Peak Financial Freedom Group.